I've been making a lot of these wooden sunburst wreaths because they sell so well at my art shows, but I want to try something a little bit different this time. And can I just say how much I love my wind belt sander? It is so fast and it makes my job so much easier. Stay tuned to my video and find out what I did. The round base that I'll be attaching my sun rays to is cut from scrap wood. And I have a scrap piece of plywood underneath that will help me keep my pattern straight. And I know you're probably asking yourself, well, she doesn't have it in the middle of the plywood, so what's going on? I had this idea a few months ago while on a work trip to make a sunburst with the middle that was sort of off center. So that's why I have it kind of down in the lower left of my pattern board, so that my rays are not all the same length. It's off center. So now what I'm trying to do is take my wood and make it fit the pattern, and it really turned out so cool. I did have to cut some pieces because it was just going to be impossible and take too long to really, you know, pick out the rays, the pieces of wood that would fit exactly right. But I wanted to be as close as I could to fit that pattern and not have any to kind of stick out a little bit. So, I'm trying some out, and then I replace them, and then I cut some, and I want my first layer to be kind of all situated before I do any kind of gluing and any kind of nailing. And then once I have that first row down to, kind of where I want it, I am using my wind belt sander, which was the most amazing purchase that I've ever purchased for myself. I like my ends to be nice and smooth and round, so I'm sanding everything one more time, and then I'm putting down my liquid nails on the ends, and then I'm taking my Bostik air nailer with I think I'm using 1-inch brad nails and nailing these down really well and making sure they're secure. And then I'm just adding in my second row of wood slats, and this is all scrap wood. This is 100% scrap wood. I don't think I've bought a sheet of plywood or a 2x4 in probably a couple of years, but this is either pallet wood or it's wood that people have given me. I have the most awesome neighbors. Like, they'll call me and say, hey, I've got a whole pile of fence boards, do you want them? And if I say yes, well they'll just bring them to me, so I don't have to go in and get them and schlep them home. So once again, just making sure I have all my pieces where I want, and then I take my sander and I make sure all of the ends are smooth and we don't have any burrs, and make everything nice and smooth. And then that second row will get glued down and then attached with my air nailer, and I replaced the 1-inch brad nails with 1.5 so that the nails will go through the top layer as well as the bottom layer and also the round base. So everything is really good and tight. So now what I'm doing is just looking to see where I might have any gaps, and I'm adding a couple of pieces where I see that, that I've got a pretty good gap. And then I just go through and make sure everything's tight. I'm using broken pieces of shells that I find on my beach to make a center flower. And somebody said in a previous video that this ends up looking like a magnolia flower. I had somebody else call it a rose. My friend calls it a rose. You see Tip right there at the bottom right. He is such a good boy. He is deaf. He's a 15-year-old Jack Russell, but he is my little buddy. Anyway, so I'm taking these broken shells and I'm just kind of using them as petals, and it does look like a magnolia or rose or even a fluffy peony which doesn't grow in Florida. I wish it did because they're so pretty. But yeah, that's all I'm doing. I'm just using these broken bits of cockle shells and just nesting them with hot glue, lots and lots of hot glue, and filling that void. And it's so pretty. Turns out really nice. I am going to have to do a video on how you can make a flower out of these shell petals on like a foam ball. I'll have to do a video on that. I've done a few and they're really cool. I've sold a few, but not so many. Then I'm going to flip it over and put a picture hanger on the back just so you can hang it on the wall. And here it is hanging on my wall just for storage until my next show. It really depends on the space how someone would hang it, whether the taller rays would be at the bottom, or it just depends on the space. But hope you enjoyed my video, and please do hit that subscribe button. Give this a try. Bye, guys.